I've talked about tons of evil companies and industries over the years, but the one I want to talk about today makes Umbrella Corp from Resident Evil look like Weenie Hut Jr. Health insurance. Now, I've ranted and raved about health insurance on stream quite a few times, way before the big thing that happened recently. And I'll just be clear up front that I'm not here to talk too much about Brian Thompson getting banished to the Shadow Realm. I'm here to talk mainly about health insurance itself and how corrupt and malicious it is, as well as the United Health Group CEO Andrew Whitty's video that he made about the response to this whole thing. So to be clear, Brian Thompson was the CEO of United's insurance division. Andrew Whitty is the CEO of United Health Group.
I'm sure everybody has been disturbed by the amount of negative and in many cases vitriolic media and commentary that has been produced over the last few days, particularly in the social media environment.
Yeah, mean words are so much more disturbing than an entire business model that revolves around making oodles of cash off the corpses of your clients as you knowingly deny coverage for life-saving medical treatment for those individuals that have been paying you for so long for the single purpose of you stepping in to help in an emergency situation. Then when that unfortunate time arises, it's just crickets and radio silence and then like a giant stamp of denied from United. Here's a nice little graph that helps showcase how efficient these health insurance providers have become at denying your claims. And United Healthcare, they got it down to a science. They are way out in front. They got the gold medal with 33% denied claims. To put that into Fortnite terms, United is grittying to a fucking winner chicken dinner dubski as you and your loved ones are dying. It's no surprise why people hate health insurance. It's not a political issue like a lot of people are trying to make it. You can see some of the usual suspects on YouTube saying things like, oh, the lefties are celebrating the death of this healthcare CEO, an innocent man just looking to put food on the table for his families. And if you look at the comments, it doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you're on, everyone has been fucked equally by health insurance. They are the Thanos level threat to human beings' survival. Everybody knows somebody, and you may even be the victim yourself, that has been denied by their health insurance provider because the whole purpose of the health insurance business model is you pay them for a long period of time to do a single task for you, which is help in an emergency situation, and their goal is to find ways out of doing that task you pay them for, to fuck you in the face. Literally just let people croak because they don't want to pay the money to cover those procedures that could save someone's life. They make money off normal people dying, and normal people are paying them for the service. It is so fucked up.
And I want to reassure you of a few things. Firstly, we are going to continue to make sure that we put patients, consumers, and members first, as we always have done.
What? Pardon? I must not have heard him right. There's no way Mr. Krabs just tried to sit there with a straight face looking like my wrinkled nutsack saying that United has always put members, consumers, and patients first. What? I mean, oh, maybe he meant like putting them first in the ground after they deny the life-saving medical treatment that they were looking for. Maybe that's what he meant. I'm not entirely sure, but there's no way he actually tried to say that United puts the patients first, right? There's no way. I mean, you could just look at the data. 33% of all claims being denied? Like, in what universe does he think anyone's going to believe that? Everybody has been affected by this. It's not like this is some big secret. Everyone knows how fucking foul the health insurance industry is, and United is the worst offender. Like, here, I'll give you actual footage of the United CEO anytime one of its clients die after a denied claim. Man, I just broke that. Man, look what you made me do, Andrew! Look what you made me do!
The mission of this company is truly to make sure that we help the system improve by helping the experience for individuals get better and better.
Mission failed then, Andrew, in the biggest possible way. And the response that you're seeing to all this should be a pretty clear indication that every single human being on the planet that has been cursed with United health insurance coverage feels that the experience has only gotten worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse as you have made more and more and more and more and more and more doubloons off of denying claims. Hey, real quick, Andrew, can you go ahead and put on your reading glasses and take a peek at this for me? Look at this chart and tell me exactly whose experience has been getting better? Because it's not the normal American that has to have health insurance. It seems more like it might just be United Health Group itself. I'll quickly take a moment to play in the pigpen and tackle the most brain dead that are trying to justify or defend the health insurance companies. Like, I couldn't imagine anything more pathetic than doing free PR for health insurance of all things, but there are those absolute worms out there doing that in the trenches right now. I see a lot of people making the comparison that a health insurance provider denying a claim is not the same as killing someone. It's fundamentally doing that. If someone's coming to their health insurance that they've been paying for how many years, and they are looking for coverage for a very expensive medical procedure, and they say no, and that person dies because they no longer could afford that medical procedure that would have saved their life, then that is the insurance provider fundamentally killing that person. And the comparison that some of the pseudo-intellectual enlightened super dweebs on Twitter are comparing it to is saying like, oh, well, if someone needs a kidney and you're not on the kidney donor list, so you don't give them a kidney, did you murder that person? Shouldn't even really need to explain why that's absolute dog shit, but I'll go ahead and do it anyway. Was that person paying you for years and years with the sole purpose of you donating that kidney to them should they need it? Probably not. They weren't a client or anything like that. Like, not being a kidney donor is completely different than being a health insurance provider who is paid for a sole task, and then they do everything they can to not do that task. And then when someone dies as a result of their refusal to do that task they have been paid for, that is the health insurance provider having a big hand in that person's demise. Another pretty obvious difference here is that giving a kidney is an extremely big deal. Like, that is a risky thing to the person who does it. Whereas in health insurance, the only risk in paying for someone's medical procedure is that your shareholders might not get as many millions of dollars because now you might actually have to start doing what people are paying you for. If there is a chance that United Health paying for a medical procedure means they can't afford to pay for someone else's, then they shouldn't be in business in the fucking first place. It means they're trash at what they're supposed to be doing. They're being paid by everyone to do this task of covering their medical procedures when they need it. And if they can't afford to do that, they should not be around.
There was nobody who did more to try and advance that mission than Brian Thompson. And there are very few people in the history of the US healthcare industry who had a bigger positive effect on American healthcare than Brian.
Hey, come back to reality. Andrew, we're losing you. You're fading into Narnia right now. What are you talking about, man? Making tens of millions of dollars at a company that leads the nation in denied health insurance claims is not pushing the industry in any positive direction for normal Americans, man.
And we are going to make sure that we not only acknowledge and honor that legacy of Brian, but we will continue it.
That's right, everyone. We are going to be pushing for 50% denied claims next year in honor of this mission. It's a lofty goal, but I think we can deny even more claims come 2025. So mark your calendars. 2025 is United's year. We're making history. Half of all claims will be denied. Mark my words. Like, this isn't something you get excited about, man. The mission has just been growing your profits while denying more claims. So you proudly announcing that you're going to be continuing that mission is about as painful as you coming out and saying that you're going to continue waterboarding me. Like, why would I be pumping my fist about that? The only one that gets excited there is your shareholders.
Our role is a critical role, and we make sure that care is safe, appropriate, and is delivered when people need it. And we guard against the pressures that exist for unsafe care or for unnecessary care to be delivered in a way which makes the whole system too complex and ultimately unsustainable.
What is sustainable, though, is all of that growth United keeps experiencing. That's what really matters. We need to make sure that is sustained. This is garbage, man. This is actual just baloney. He's just blabbering about nothing. It's a yappuccino trying to spin this as like them trying to do something good. It's not. What Andrew and his company deem unnecessary care is completely unreasonable oftentimes, where it is very necessary for the patient to stay alive. Well, we denied this claim because we felt it was unnecessary, because we did a cost-benefit analysis and we concluded that the patient was going to die in 60 years anyway, so what's really the point in spending all this money to keep them alive now when they're just going to kick the bucket in, a couple of decades?
So we're going to continue to make that case. We will continue to do the work we do. And I have never been more proud of this company and our colleagues and what this company does on behalf of people in need across the country.
You would really think, with what happened here, someone like Andrew, and I don't believe that he's even really human anymore. I believe he has sold his soul many, many years ago and is just this hollow husk that's only filled with money. But you would still think at some point the neurons would fire in his noodle and he'd see this response and be like, that mission, about helping people, kind of failed at that, didn't we? Maybe we should do something different. But he hasn't even had that realization. Or maybe he has and he just doesn't care, which is the more likely explanation. But you would just truly think that the reality would set in like, oh, people fucking hate us. People are awake to how exploitative we are and how we are actively making their lives harder.
I encourage you to tune out that critical noise that we're hearing right now. It does not reflect reality. It is simply a sign of an era in which we live.
Great advice. All those people talking about how corrupt this industry is, yes, please plug your ears to that so that way you don't actually hear from the victims of our business model. We don't want you to start feeling sympathy for the numbers on our bottom line, all right? We need to make sure that we don't look at them as anything real. They're just imaginary NPCs for our money, and we like that money, don't we? It's just so crazy. It's so crazy. He's saying that it doesn't reflect reality. Brother, that is the reality. These are your clients that are coming out and sharing their experiences. It doesn't get any more real than that. As opposed to your fucking barnacles that you're vomiting out here, that is the fraudulent fakeness. The reality is that people have been fucked by your health insurance company and plenty of others. The industry is rotten to its very core, and people know that, which is why this isn't some big political issue of left and right. Everyone is united in how hard they have been fucked and how many times they have seen people be affected negatively by this industry. And this guy just refuses to let that set in, and he's trying to brainwash his employees to just be numb to it and pay no attention to it.
What we must do is focus on what we know to be true. And what we know to be true is that the health system needs a company like United Health Group, and it needs people like Brian within it. We're fortunate that within this company, we have so many people driven and inspired in the same way that Brian was, and we will continue in our journey to help everybody who needs it within the health environment.
It's just crazy. I know I don't need to keep ranting about it, but it actually does just blow my mind that he would even say things like that, which are so provably false. It's honestly like almost a threat that they have plenty of other people like Brian in the company that are as inspired as Brian and focusing on what Brian was focusing on, which is clearly the profits in the company and denying more claims so they can make more money. That's a bad thing. And he's just talking about it like it's an accolade to be super proud of and something to be excited about. It's just frightening. It's actually just frightening. So yeah, I wanted to rant about health insurance a little bit. That's it. See ya.